By Collier.
Chair recognizes Ms. Collier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is an amendment that is near and dear and very personal to several of us members on this floor. This amendment removes reference to a time in history where owning another individual was considered a reality. It would remove reference to manservant and maidservant, which in translation means male slave or female slave. We have worked very hard in this country to eliminate references to slavery. We have worked hard to have equality and to have a document hang in the classrooms of our schools, our public schools, that references a time in history that was very hurtful and painful to many people, will continue to perpetuate that hurt. And the students are unlikely to understand what it means not to covet thy neighbor's wife, nor their manservant, nor their maidservant, nor their cattle, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. All referencing ownership of other people and other things. And so this amendment would remove reference for the 246 years of slavery in the United States, 400 years of the transatlantic slave trade. This amendment would remove that reference to avoid confusion, hurt, and pain. And with that, I move adoption.
Chair recognizes Ms.
Mr. Speaker, would the gentlelady yield?
Mr. Manuel, for what purpose?
Will the gentlelady yield? Ms. Collier.
Does the gentlelady yield for questions?
Yes, sir.
Gentlelady yields.
Using in reference to what you were saying, talking about a misinterpretation, are you aware of the misinterpretation of the son of Ham, of why black people were considered and are still considered by some people to be a subservient caste of human beings?
You're referencing the mark?
Yes.
Yes, I am very familiar. Please explain that further.
And are you aware that this was used to subjugate us, to tell our ancestors, us, that if we were good servants, that we would go to heaven to be with our white masters? And so would our offspring.
That's correct.
And if I'm understanding, this is just to make sure that we are not condoning or allowing someone to have the misinterpretation that anyone could be a slave, let alone anyone, not just black people, but anyone.
That's right.
And are you aware of the saying for Jewish people today, they say never again, and that they recognize that what happened to their ancestors is what happened to them, and so they say we will never go through that again, or we will never go through bondage as they did during the time of Moses.
That's right. Never
I
again.
appreciate you for making sure that the body understands that for us, we want to make sure that this never happens again.
Never again. We've worked so hard for the civil rights movement, for our ancestors, for the right to vote, for the right to even sit in this chamber. We worked so hard, and to reference a time where the reality was slavery that is no longer in existence.
Right, and
It's
also
hurtful.
that we don't condone it in this country.
That is right. We do not condone slavery today or in the future.
Thank you. I know our ancestors are smiling.
Thank you. I move adoption.
Chair recognizes Ms. Noble to speak in opposition to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I did a quick Google. I 100% love you and am so glad that slavery is a past tense in our country. And we fight every day in here to make sure that human trafficking isn't happening as a result of that. I did do a quick Google search on the term maidservant, and according to the Cambridge Dictionary, it can mean maid, housemaid, female servant, domestic or hired girl. So they don't even include the definition that you did in your amendment. So therefore, I move to table.
Chair recognizes Ms. Collier to close on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. The Britannica definition does include slave. I went to BibleStudy.com, and it says manservant references a male servant or slave. Maidservant references a female servant or slave. And they also reference biblical sections of the Bible where these words were used. So I ask that you consider what we are doing today. Are we all equal?
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. Gervin Hawkins, for what purpose?
will the gentlelady yield for questions?
Does the gentlelady yield for questions?
Yes.
The gentlelady yields for questions.
Representative Collier, as you bring to our attention these two words on those two lines, would you say that when a member say, I love you, I care about you, that they would be willing to modify words that are offensive if they truly believe those words that they said?
I would hope so.
So to not accept this amendment is truly a slap in the face in terms of using offensive words that could be easily removed that still does not change the content of what the bill intent is.
That is correct, because there's still...
And when we find things that are offensive and that need to be changed, we as policymakers, wouldn't you agree that it takes good judgment and courage to make those corrections?
Yes, it does.
So it's very difficult, would you agree, to function in this body where we're still using words that are offensive to one another, but yet we say we love one another.
That is correct. I feel that.
So, Representative Collier, together we're asking the author to remove those two sentences that does not change her bill at all, so that our children and our children's children would not be offended as long as ourselves existing here today. Would you agree with that?
I would, and that they would not repeat the wrongs of history.
And they would correct those things that are wrong. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
That's a great amendment, and I believe that indeed, if the author of this bill is sincere about the love of God and the sanctity of this institution, that would be removed from this bill. Would you agree?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Busey, for what purpose?
will the gentlelady yield for a question?
Does the gentlelady yield for questions?
Yes, I do.
Gentlelady
Thank you,
yields for
Representative.
questions.
Are you aware that our very first president of the United States, George Washington, in 1789, in his travel journal, on his way to New York for his first inauguration, wrote, set out about 10 o'clock, accompanied by Mr. Thompson, the Secretary of Congress, Colonel Humphreys, and he said, and my manservant, Billy Lee. Billy Lee was an enslaved man the entirety. So are you aware that he said that?
I am now. Yes, thank you.
So our very first president of the United States used this term to refer to slaves.
Absolutely. And these are not even words that we use today.
Thank you for your amendment.
Thank you. Members, I know that there's a motion to table. So you can vote yes to keep slavery or vote no to end it. Thank you.
Ms. Collier sends up an amendment. Ms. Noble moves to table. The question is on the motion to table. A record vote has been requested. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Ms. Noble voting aye. Show Ms. Collier voting nay. Show Mr. Hunter voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 77 ayes and 56 nays, the motion to table prevails. Chair recognizes Mr. Hunter for a motion.